How much does surrogacy cost in 2026? Full breakdown by country. Hi everyone, my name is Anastasia Herman, and today we are talking about one of the most important and most confusing topics in surrogacy. How much does surrogacy actually cost in 2026? Because when people search online, they often see completely different numbers: 40,000, 80,000, 150, $250,000. So today I want to explain what is actually included in surrogacy cost, why prices differ so much between countries, what intended parents should be careful about, and of course, what realistic budget look like in 2026. In this video, I will try to give you a very honest and practical overview based on real international experience working with intended parents from Europe, the United Kingdom, United States, Australia, and other countries. Let's start from the most important thing. Surrogacy is never just one price. What actually creates the cost of surrogacy? Let's break down it into the parts. First, before comparing countries, you need to understand what you are paying for. A surrogacy journey usually includes several major categories. Medical cost. This includes IVF procedure, embryo transfer, medication, fertility clinic services, pregnancy monitoring, delivery, sometimes NICU care if needed. If donor eggs are used, that also increases the cost significantly. Surrogate mother compensation and support. In some countries, surrogates receive full compensation. In others, only reasonable expenses are allowed legally. This category may include surrogate compensation, monthly support, maternity clothing, nutrition support, travel, lost wages, postpartum recovery support. This is usually one of the biggest cost factors. Agency coordination. People often underestimate how much coordination is involved. A professional agency may help you with matching, screening, communication, logistic, psychological support, legal coordination, translation, crisis management, travel support, newborn preparation, document support. So good coordination can make difference between a smooth journey and a very traumatic experience. Legal cost. This is extremely important. Legal cost may include contracts, consultation, parental rights procedures, birth certificates, court procedures, citizenship support, embassy documentation, exit process for the baby. And legal complexity varies dramatically depending on the country. Unexpected cost. This is something many intended parents forget. Possible additional expenses are embryo transfer, extra embryo transfers with twin pregnancy, cesarean section, premature, NICU, extended stay, emergency situation. Always ask your agency what happened if the first transfer fails, because sometimes the cheap program becomes much more expensive later. Surrogacy cost by country, main section. United States. The US remains one of the most legally secure destinations for surrogacy and of course the pioneer of surrogacy. But it is also the most expensive. Average cost in 2026 approximately starts from $140,000 to $250,000 plus, sometimes even higher depending on the state and circumstances. Why it is so expensive? Because surrogate compensation is so much higher. Medical insurance is expensive, legal framework is extensive, agency charge premium coordination fees, and of course healthcare costs in general are extremely high and never predictable. Advantages: strong legal protection in many states, very structured process, LGBTQ friendly and excellent medical standards. Challenges: extremely high budget, insurance, and for many families, the US is considered the premium option only. Canada. Canada allows only altruistic surrogacy. That means surrogates cannot legally receive traditional compensations like in the US. Average cost in 2026 starts from $90,000 to $140,000. Important. Even though compensation is not allowed, intended parents still reimburse many expenses. What are advantages? Stable legal system, good medical standards, more affordable than the US. Challenges: very long waiting times, fewer surrogates mother available, not necessarily cheap. Sometimes some parents wait years for a match. Czech Republic. The Czech Republic is becoming increasingly interesting for intended parents, especially within the Europe. However, it's important to understand that the Czech Republic is primarily known for IVF and egg donation, not a fully established international surrogacy destination like the US or Ukraine. Average cost in 2026 starts from 70,000 euros to 120, depending on legal structure, whatever the surrogate is local or international, IVF complexity, donor programs, and legal coordination abroad. Important. Surrogacy itself is not directly regulated by a detailed surrogacy law in Czech Republic. Because of this, programs often require very careful legal structuring, cross-border coordination, and strong legal support for parentage and newborn documents. Advantages: excellent IVF reputation, high-quality fertility clinics, strong embryo laboratory standards, Central European location, and of course, attractor for EU intended parents. The Czech Republic is especially known internationally for IVF, egg donation, and fertility medicine. Challenges: legally ambiguity around surrogacy, fewer structures, agency program, complex parental recognition cases, not ideal for every nationality. So while the medical side can be excellent, intended parents should understand the legal and organizational side may require much more planning and they initially expect. Mexico. So Mexico has become more popular internationally in recent years. Average cost starts from $60,000 to $121,000. But this varies dramatically depending on the clinic and what is important on legal structure. In Mexico, regulation can differ by state and can change, so legal guidance is absolutely crucial. Advantages: lower cost, closer to the US, growing international market. Challenges: legal inconsistency, variable clinic quality, and need for very, very careful due diligence. Georgia. Georgia has historically been one of the most affordable international surrogacy destinations. Average cost starts from $55,000 to $90,000. Advantages: relatively established international programs, more affordable prices, and simpler logistics for some European countries. Challenges: legal challenge and uncertainty for years, political discussions around restrictions, limited availability of donors. This is why intended parents should always monitor legal updates carefully. United Kingdom technically allows, but it works very differently. The average cost starts from £40,000 till £80,000, but timelines can be unpredictable. The UK uses an altruistic model, so finding a surrogate can take a very long time. Challenges: long waiting times. Parental order is needed for process after birth. Limited surrogate availability. Many UK parents eventually pursue surrogacy abroad, instead doing it domestically. Ukraine. Ukraine remains one of the major international surrogacy destinations for heterosexual married couples with medical indications. The average cost starts from 45,000 euros to 80,000 euros, depending on guarantee structure, number of attempts, clinic, genetics, donor programs, and level of agency support. Why many intended parents still choose Ukraine? Strong medical experience in IVF, experienced surrogate mothers, comparatively more accessible pricing, established infrastructure for international programs. Important. Ukraine is not cheap shortcut. Choosing the right clinic, agency, and legal structure support system matters enormously. Intended parents should evaluate transparency, legal clarity, communication, emergency, and real patient support, not just marketing. Because its surrogacy, the cheapest option, can becoming the most expensive emotionally. What most people don't realize. One of the biggest mistakes intended parents make is comparing only the starting price. But the real question should be what is actually included? Because sometimes legal services are extra, medication are extra, delivery is extra, cesarean is extra, NICU, newborn documentations, and additional transfers are extra. And suddenly a 50,000 program becomes 90. So always ask for a detailed cost structure. What happens if transfer fails? Refund or guarantee prices, and realistic worst case scenario. Transparency is extremely important. How to choose the right country? There is no universal best country. The right choice depends on first, your budget, your citizenship, your family structure, your legal situation, your timeline, and of course, your comfort level. Some parents prioritize maximum legal security, others, affordability, shorter timelines, or specific medical expertise. The most important thing is to choose a structure that is legally clear, medically ethical, emotionally supportive, and financially transparent. I hope this video helped you better understand how surrogacy costs actually work in 2026. If you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if you would like, I can also make a separate video about hidden cost surrogacy, guarantee programs, surrogacy legal risks, or comparing Ukraine versus USA, Canada in detail. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.